Ali and Fahad had been best friends for as long as they could remember, growing up in the same neighborhood, going to the same schools, and sharing countless memories had forged a bond that felt unbreakable. Ali admired Fahad's charm, wit, and confidence, and he often told people, "Fahad is like my brother. I trust him with my life." One Friday evening, they sat together in Ali's living room, playing video games and laughing over childhood memories. Life felt simple and perfect. "You know, Ali," Fahad said, leaning back with a grin, "it's always us against the world, right?" "Always," Ali replied without hesitation. At that moment, Ali couldn't have imagined that his faith in Fahad would soon be tested in a way he'd never expected. The first hint of trouble came a few weeks later. Ali's cousin Bilal had come over for dinner. After spending an enjoyable evening, Bilal left, only to return an hour later, visibly upset. "Ali, I think I lost my wallet," Bilal said. "I'm sure I had it when I came here." Ali frowned, puzzled. "Are you sure? Let's check around the house." They searched everywhere, under cushions, on tables, even in the driveway, but the wallet was nowhere to be found. Bilal eventually left, disappointed but unwilling to blame anyone. The incident stayed in the back of Ali's mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, but he pushed it aside. After all, accidents happen, right? A few weeks later, Ali hosted a small get-together with some friends, including Fahad. Everyone was having a great time until one of the guests, Sana, realized her expensive watch was missing. "It was right here on the table," Sana said, panicked. "I took it off while we were eating." Once again, everyone searched the house, but the watch was nowhere to be found. The mood of the evening soured, and people began whispering quietly among themselves. Ali felt embarrassed and confused. "I don't know what's going on," he told Fahad as they cleaned up after everyone had left. "Probably just bad luck," Fahad replied, his tone casual. "Don't stress about it." Ali nodded, but a seed of doubt had been planted. Over the next few months, similar incidents occurred. Small items, money, jewelry, and gadgets would go missing during gatherings at Ali's place. Each time, Ali felt more uneasy. It wasn't until he noticed Fahad's increasingly dismissive attitude toward these incidents that his suspicion began to grow. One evening, as they sat at a cafe, Ali decided to test Fahad. "Fahad, don't you think it's strange that things keep disappearing whenever we have people over?" Ali asked, watching his friend's reaction closely. Fahad shrugged. "People lose things all the time. You're overthinking it." Ali's stomach churned. Something about Fahad's nonchalant response didn't sit right with him. Ali had always trusted Fahad implicitly, but when his mother's precious gold bracelet, a family heirloom passed down through generations, disappeared, it felt like a personal betrayal. The bracelet had always been a symbol of love and tradition in their family. His mother had worn it every day, and its loss hit Ali hard. He scoured the house, turning over cushions, rifling through drawers, but the bracelet was nowhere to be found. Panic and frustration consumed him. What had happened to it? For the first time, Ali's mind wandered to the unthinkable. Could Fahad, his closest friend, have taken it? The thought was abhorrent to him, and he immediately dismissed it. Fahad had always been trustworthy, kind, and like family. But the nagging doubt wouldn't leave his mind. The more he thought about it, the more it seemed plausible. Perhaps he had seen something that Ali hadn't noticed, something that might explain the other small items that had gone missing over the past few months. It was a pattern that, until now, he had brushed off as coincidence. But now, with the bracelet gone, he couldn't ignore it any longer. The guilt of even considering such an accusation weighed heavily on Ali. But he knew he needed to find out the truth. He couldn't continue living in uncertainty, in fear of betrayal by the one person he had trusted the most. With a heavy heart, Ali secretly installed a small hidden camera in his living room, praying it would provide the answers he desperately sought. This was his last resort, and he had no idea where it would lead. A few days later, everything seemed normal again. Ali invited Fahad over, just like he always did. They spent hours playing video games, reminiscing about the past, and sharing their usual banter. Fahad was his usual carefree self, laughing and cracking jokes as if nothing had changed. Ali tried to ignore the growing tension in his chest, but his mind kept drifting back to the missing items, the feeling of something being off. When Fahad excused himself to use the bathroom, Ali's heart raced. He knew this was the moment. That night, after the visit, he sat alone in his room and reviewed the footage from the hidden camera. The silence of the room felt suffocating as he hit play. What he saw sent a shockwave through his body. There on the screen was Fahad, casually slipping a set of car keys into his pocket while Ali was in the kitchen. It was so subtle, so unremarkable, yet there was no mistaking it. Fahad had been stealing from him. The realization hit Ali like a punch to the gut. His hands trembled as he replayed the footage, hoping he had misinterpreted what he saw. But the truth was undeniable. Fahad, the person Ali had trusted more than anyone, had betrayed him. The weight of the discovery pressed down on him and a feeling of heartbreak washed over him. The next evening, Ali asked Fahad to meet him at the park, away from any distractions. As they sat on a bench under the streetlights, Ali struggled to find the right words. "Fahad, I need to ask you something," Ali began, his voice heavy with emotion. "Have you been taking things from my house?" Fahad's expression hardened. "What are you talking about, Ali? You know I'd never do that." "I saw the footage," Ali said, his voice breaking. "I know you've been stealing, Fahad. Why would you do this to me, to our friendship?" For a moment, Fahad said nothing. Then with a deep sigh, he admitted, "I didn't mean for it to get this far, Ali. I've been struggling, financially. I didn't know how to ask for help, so I took things. I'm sorry." "Struggling?" Ali repeated, his voice filled with disbelief. "You could have just told me. I would have helped you without a second thought. But instead, you lied and betrayed me." Fahad looked away, unable to meet Ali's gaze. "I didn't want to burden you." The revelation hit Ali like a tidal wave, leaving him drowning in confusion and heartache. Fahad, the one person he had trusted unconditionally, had shattered that trust in the most painful way. Ali's heart ached as he thought of all the good times they had shared, only to realize they had been tainted by lies and deceit. Despite understanding that Fahad had his own struggles, the betrayal was too deep to ignore. "I don't know if I can forgive you," Ali said softly, his voice thick with emotion. "You've hurt me more than you realize." Fahad, his face pale with regret, nodded slowly. Tears welled in his eyes. "I understand. I'll return everything I took, and I'll stay away if that's what you want." The days that followed were filled with uncomfortable silence as Fahad returned the stolen items. His apology seemed sincere, but it didn't erase the damage done. Ali appreciated the effort, but it was clear their friendship would never be the same. The bond they once shared had been irrevocably broken, and no amount of apologies could mend the fracture. Ali knew that moving forward, trust would be something he would never take for granted again. Months later, Ali had moved on from the incident, though the pain lingered. He learned to be more cautious and careful with his trust. Fahad, on the other hand, worked hard to rebuild his life and make amends for his mistakes. One day, Fahad reached out to Ali. "I know I don't deserve your friendship, but I just wanted to thank you for giving me a chance to fix my mistakes." Ali responded after a long pause. "I'm glad you're trying to change, Fahad. But trust takes time to rebuild." Their friendship wasn't what it used to be, but Ali had learned an important lesson. Even the closest bonds can break if trust is taken for granted.